BDSM and non-standard relationships,
power exchange and polyamory,
sacred sexuality and fetishes, as well as simply fun kink.
You're listening to the Erotic Awakening Podcast Network.
Hello, listeners. I am back with another episode of Femme Domme Mystique podcast. Thank you for joining me once again. I'm going to continue my interview series with some very special guests. One of my inspirations, Miss Ella Strickland, the international headmistress for the organization Club FEM, which you know my Chicago branch is the longest running, 10 years, consistent, which is scary. And I also have a international headmistress, Mistress Natasha Mueller, here with us. And she's starting the chapter... Oh, sorry. Let me fix that. She is a international headmistress for Mexico City, but not the, which we know. Ella is the headmistress, and there is no replacing Ella. Trust me. So she's starting one of our international chapters. Is that a better way to say it?
Yes.
Yes. So welcome, Mistress Ella. It is a pleasure to have you here in our Club FEM Headmistress chat.
Thank you.
I would like to begin this casual little chat with you telling a little bit about the history of how Club FEM developed. If you'd be so kind.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm also the Club FEM Houston headmistress. Club FEM Houston is where the whole thing started. And it was in 1992. I didn't start it. It was started by a headmistress D, the original, and her slave Jean, who is still involved with the organization. And they started it as an answer to the lack of female dominant presence in the community. If you can imagine 1992 in Texas, there was none. And so here's this kinky couple trying to get out, get to know people, get involved in the scene. And slave Jean, who is a very attractive man, is being hit on by submissive girls wanting him to top them. And he's looking at them like, I can't do that.
He's going to love the fact you said that.
Yeah. And so they just felt like, we really have no choice. We've got to start our own thing. And everyone laughed at them, and this is really funny. They said, there's not enough dominant women for you to have a special interest group.
Little did they know.
Not even a special interest group, okay, which would be a smaller group, of course. So they started it, and they had their hors d'oeuvres, and they had, the party scheduled, and, 3-4 people showed up.
Oops.
And they just stayed at it, and within about a year, they had 52 people coming to their functions, and they were completely rocking it.
There we go.
Because the fact is, there are a lot of dominant women out there, but they weren't particularly inclined to want to have a great time among the overall scene, which at the time was all submissive females and dominant males.
Correct.
So that was the answer, and it's a wonderful answer because even now, where there is a much better balance overall, even now though, especially the young ladies who are dominant and kind of bossy, and yes, maturity does develop this.
It does develop, and we do change as we get more mature in our DS experiences.
Well, they go into the general scene and they're challenged constantly and they're hit on by dominant males, and it's not really supportive to their growth in dominance.
It is not.
And so we love to be able to scoop them into our club, and Club FEM we have 2 mission statements. One is the promise of a 100% female authority environment. Everyone is in the female dominant, male submissive mode in Club FEM, or they are not present.
Correct.
So if you can imagine a budding young dom, she's in this environment, there's no challenge, she's completely supported in this role, and then she wants to get involved in the overall scene, and she walks out there, and she's much more strong and secure in who she is among the crowd.
She's had a chance to develop and feel more confident and know that she's accepted. There is an area for her, and then she can put her foot in the water, so to speak, of the bigger pond.
And we do, of course, I would say we bring more people into the scene because we're a Femme Domme club, and we get discovered by couples who are sort of out there looking online. They find our website and write to us.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's how it started, and that's how it developed. And I came along around 2003, I think. I experienced my first Club FEM party. At that point in time, there had been neighbor complaints. They were having some location issues because we used to do all house parties.
Okay.
And I had a dungeon, and I said, I'll hostess. So I hostess like 2 parties, and HeadMistress D was thinking of retiring, and she approached me and said, you want to be the headmistress?
And you went,
I've been to I've hosted a party. I've been to 2.
Sure.
I just said, and she was kind of going through some life changes, and I didn't feel like she was completely off the fence. So I said, look, Miss D, I will run it for you while you're going through, this decision making and this, unsure. Mistress Modesty was my best friend in the scene at the time and a longtime Club FEM member. So I said, how about if Miss Modesty runs it with me? We did it together, and I said, let me start an outreach, because we had a chapter in D.C., we had a chapter in Florida, and nobody really knew each other. They were just writing Slave Gene, who was saying, oh yeah, he knew them.
Right.
They knew him. They didn't know each other. I said, we need an international outreach for these ladies. There was also one in Canada, which is why I said we need an international outreach. So I said, Headmistress D, how about let me be Club FEM Inter-fucking-National Headmistress?
Which you still fucking are.
And she
do a
cracked
great job
up.
of it.
She totally cracked up. She said, okay, Miss Ella, that's fine. And she continued to be the local headmistress until 2005, and then we split the 2 chapters with Miss Modesty and me running the international group. In any case, so that's the history. Generally, shortly after I became the international headmistress, fucking international headmistress,
we're going to have to include that in all your correspondence now. I am the
Inter-fucking-national. Anyway, so I started receiving some inquiries from, very qualified mistresses. I got one from Mistress Simone of Chicago.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I looked her up. I saw all the community education she was doing and the quality of the education she was doing.
My passion.
I was so impressed. And we were at the stage at that point where a mistress like Simone could put us on the map. She was far more well-known than Club FEM was. And
Thank
so
you.
It was just, it was
That's
just...
a very high compliment. I'm blushing, everybody.
Oh, I always tell her this, I know, and she's always like, what? But it's totally, absolutely true. She's just not, an egomaniac type of a person in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you.
But she is by far and away one of the best community educators I have witnessed.
That's a very high compliment. Thank you
throughout
very
my genre in this whole thing.
It's
and
been my passion for 20 years.
Yes.
Is to educate and teach.
Yes, exactly.
Something
So,
I
I
love.
mean, what better? I'm like flipping out. If we get women like this, rocking our organization, we're on the way. So,
Thank you.
and that was, she had her 10-year anniversary for Club FEM Chicago last year,
I
which
was
is,
very proud of that, and something
Yes.
that we didn't realize until you and I were chatting. And you went, and I went, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, Chicago's a wonderful group of ladies. We have great connection.
and so what happens is a chapter gets established and it just kind of sprouts out because Miss Simone has friends in other cities and they're visiting her. They come to a Club FEM party. They see how much fun it is. They have a facility. And so next thing we're on our way. And at this point in time, we've got 40 chapters approximately throughout the globe. And that's including 4 in Australia. We had 5 actually. We've got 1 in the UK. This is just currently. We actually, well, I'll get to Russia in a minute. But
Oh, Russia.
and who am I missing? currently overseas. Well, anyway, okay.
Australia.
So here with us, we have a headmistress of Mexico City, which is absolutely amazing because it is not exactly the country where you would expect a lot of Femme Domme presence.
Correct.
And so we're super excited.
So we have joining the conversation Mistress Natasha Mueller, and she is the new headmistress from Mexico City.
Exactly. A pleasure to
Welcome.
meet you.
And also with us is a young lady who will interpret, and that is Imperatrix Droxine. So welcome.
Yeah.
You can say hi too.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Imperatrix Droxine, and I'm in the Houston chapter with Ella. And what happened was I was in at DomCon Atlanta in 2014, and I happened upon Natasha, and we just bonded over being the only two kinky Femme-Dom Latinas there.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and I told her, have you heard of Club FEM? And she said, no. And I told her about Club FEM, and she was there with her slave, and they both were so enthused with it, and Ella happened to be there, and I said, let me introduce you to Ella. And I introduced them, and that's how Club FEM Mexico
Yes, I did a caning class, and I plugged Club FEM. And Mistress Natasha was there, and
How lucky that she got to see your caning classes, because you were so renowned for that.
I'm pretty passionate about that. So.
Awesome. It was awesome.
So, Mistress Natasha,
Yeah.
would you mind telling us a little bit about your branch and
absolutely.
how you got started and what you're interested in
Okay,
female
perfect.
dominance?
Perfect. Okay. Nuestro club comienza en noviembre de 2014, conociendo a Mistress Ella. Hicimos todos los preparativos para poderlo llevar a cabo y ahora tenemos un pequeño grupo en la Ciudad de México, pero lo que estamos buscando es que sea un grupo de gente calificada, que sea gente excelente y que conozca muchísimo acerca de lo que es fandom.
Well, Natasha was saying that the Mexico City chapter was started in November 2014, and at the moment they have a very small group, but her concern is recruiting members to the group that have a deep, abiding respect for Femme-Dom, a willingness to learn more about Femme-Dom, and that her goal is to grow the group slowly but steadily with an emphasis on qualified mistresses and subs with a true, service inclination.
What are some of the challenges that you envision coming up being in the type of culture which tends to be more male dom, more strong masculine than feminine?
Yeah.
What do you see as challenges for your group?
Antes que nada, sí, la cultura, una cultura muy machista, todavía es una cultura machista, ya está cambiando poco a poco, todavía nos falta estar picando piedra para poderlo hacer, pero también dentro de Club FEM lo que queremos hacer es workshops, poder enseñar a los hombres que quieran ser sumisos cómo se lleva a cabo, cómo poder estar en la presencia de una dominante mujer. Y que yo sé que muchísimos sumisos en México estarían dispuestos a hacerlo, pero están escondidos.
Yes. Well, the biggest challenge in Mexico is, as you mentioned, the culture. The general culture is a very male-dominated culture. There's an emphasis on the idea of machismo. And that creates a problem where not only is it difficult for a dominant woman to feel at ease in this culture, but perhaps even more so, the submissively inclined male has no cultural support, and he's in great personal conflict with the ideals of masculinity and the ideals of his culture. And so he may remain hidden. And Natasha was saying she believes that there are actually many submissive males that are just very privately pursuing this and maybe know they have the desire and the interest but don't have the education, the knowledge, and don't know how to go about getting that knowledge and learning how to truly serve a mistress. And her main goal and hope for Club FEM Mexico would be to emphasize education, provide workshops, so that not only is there a welcoming environment, but there's an environment that helps mold the submissively inclined man to be a better submissive, to understand the nature of service, and to also guide and educate the dominant women that want to explore this inclination that's so against their culture.
That is an excellent point to bring in, is that it's not only challenging for the female dominant side, but it's also for, especially with your culture, the male submissive, who may want to pursue this.
Yeah.
Question from Miss Ella is, what do you see as the international headmistress? What support can Club FEM provide for our new member here?
And that is what we're for, we are the outreach for the headmistresses and the international headmistresses. And however, I have to say, in Headmistress Natasha Mueller's case, I'm so grateful that one of our members, Miss Droxine, is her friend and can interpret and explain to me, because I really didn't conceive of what, I had no concept of just what she's dealing with, the culture, with the culture in Mexico, because I'm used to us, and I am used to helping headmistresses who are in a scene, a local scene where it's all male dominant, and mistresses kind of feel challenged and not particularly respected, and submissives don't want to go because, it's very exposing for them. But something like this is a whole new thing. I mean, this is a whole new genre of an entire culture. I mean, in the U.S., there's a lot of dominant women out there.
Yes.
They just didn't have a place to go. But in Mexico, I mean, it's so taboo.
It's going to be very challenging.
Yes.
And very exciting to watch you grow. It's going to be wonderful to see that and how you develop. And
I love it.
Yeah. And she first talked about, I'm going to need to set up, a lot of community education. And I said, just do the femdom thing. You don't need to take responsibility for the entire community.
No.
She said, well...
Not unless you want to.
Miss Ella, I don't...
And trust me, it's a very, very long road.
Yeah. But she said, I don't think you understand. There is no community.
There is...
That's what I thought. That was my next question.
She has to start one, And the
Yes.
fact she's already building very sincere people for her club is really quite remarkable.
Mm-hmm. It's something to say. It's a feat.
Yeah.
Very well done.
It's a lot for her. And you can see, though, that she's a wonderful face for her chapter, because she's very personable. She's not what I call a parody of a dom out there, running around posturing and being rather off-putting.
We've all seen them.
Yes. Generally, effective headmistresses pull people in. We don't put people off and put ourselves on display. We're
We stay in the background, do the support work, be the hostess. Exactly. It's not about us.
Yeah.
It is about the dynamic.
Yeah, that's
and
the point.
Group, and getting together as women and providing a safe space. One of the things that is very important, I find, a lot of my ladies come in and they say, the energy in my dungeon during our events is so different. And having the dynamic of women, the play space, the femdom is completely different than going to a club where it's mostly male doms or it's run by a male. So that energy is completely unique to our own dynamic. That's one thing the ladies find very supportive.
Yeah.
Mistress Natasha, I would like to say, first of all, you're very beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
And can you tell me a little bit about your background before Club FEM?
Yeah, sure.
How you got interested in femdom activities.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Mi carrera empieza hace 5 años, en el 2010, como domina profesional. A mí lo que siempre me ha agradado son mucho las imágenes. Siempre me he basado yo en mucho de imágenes de femdom, lo que puede ser Catwoman, lo que puede ser Morticia, lo que puede ser todas estas mujeres poderosas. Eso es lo que yo tenía en mente desde chica, hasta que fui encontrando poco a poco esta representación, estos arquetipos de mujeres, y es cuando yo ya encuentro mi camino en lo que es Femme Domme, y lo que más me encanta hacer es corporal punishment, trampling. Soy una mistress un poco más de acción, se podría decir.
Okay. Well, Natasha started her professional career in 2010, so she's been a professional for 5 years now. And
Interruption.
Oops,
That's
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
let me turn it off.
We're casual. We're doing casual. It's all right.
It's a chit chat.
It's a headmistress chit chat, so we're fine.
Okay. I can start over. So, Natasha was saying that she started her professional career as a Femme Domme in 2010. So it's been 5 years now for her. And from a very early age, what resonated with her was some of the archetypal images of femdom that are available in the culture. Images like Catwoman, images of the beautiful but very self-assured, very powerful Morticia of the Addams Family.
I heard her mention that.
Yes.
I was like, yes.
And so these, early images are what sort of resonated with her.
Gomez.
Of course, Gomez.
Yes.
The ultimate submissive gentleman.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And as a mistress, Natasha really enjoys corporal punishment, trampling. She's a very action-oriented mistress. She likes to be very physical.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm not a phone dumb, night flirt, webcam. I can't do
I
that stuff.
can't.
I have to touch you. I like to touch and do and cane and
Absolutely.
I feel like I did not complete your question when you asked what Club FEM International does to support the headmistresses.
I was going to bring you back to that.
Very good.
So please.
Yeah, I got. In any case, yes, we have 4 board members actually. The original.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Is that new?
Oh no.
Oh my gosh. Shows you how much I pay attention sometimes, right? I'm like, what do you mean?
Well,
I thought it was all her.
No. The original slave Gene, who founded the organization, is on the board.
I see.
Yes, and his mistress wife, Miss D, and don't get it confused. Yes, he was married to Headmistress D, the original founder. He is now married to Headmistress D, but it's not the same Headmistress D. And they're located in Florida. And Divinity, who started the Palm Beach chapter, she's no longer the headmistress, but she is part of the international board.
Oh.
So there is 4 of us. And
Wonderful.
yes, and so when a new chapter starts, the headmistress writes an introduction to me. And we kind of get together and we try to figure out who she is and find out what we can about her and see if she's qualified. And I explain to her what it's going to take to have a
lot
chapter.
of work and a lot of dedication.
Yes, it takes quite a lot. I'd say 90% of it is do you have a location to have your events?
Yeah.
Huge part of it. And, do you work well with people? It does take a team to do this, but there has to be one decision maker because your chapter rises and falls under your,
Correct.
under you, and it's all on you. So also, once we get through the process, because we are trademarked,
Yes, we are.
and one of the first things that the headmistresses themselves asked me to do when we started the international outreach was write a constitution because everyone wanted a cohesion among our chapters. So me and Headmistress Modesty at the time, we got together and we wrote one. We put it out there. We said, "What do you guys think?" And the
I remember reading that many years ago.
The headmistresses,
This was one of the first things I got.
Yeah.
they all said, "We love it. This is great." It's not like really long and detailed because we don't micromanage the chapters. In fact, all the chapters have a very different personality.
That is one thing I love about Club FEM.
Yeah,
Is that every group has a different flavor.
It's a reflection of the
Yeah.
headmistress. It's a
Yeah.
reflection of the group. It's a reflection of where it's
Yeah.
located. So yeah, very different flavors on all of them. And the mission statement that I did not mention because
I knew there was a second part.
100% female authority environment. That's our promise. And our mission statement is to keep the organization non-commercial. So, yes, it's been mentioned that some of us are pro-doms. we all have an agreement with Club FEM that we do not mix our business. We do not promote our businesses through Club FEM. And anyone who is a professional dominant checks her business at the door and comes in the spirit of the organization and socializing. We do not teach pro-domination through Club FEM. People learn a lot of skills. They learn a lot of interesting information on interaction. There's a lot of how-to, but not how to run a business based on this.
Correct.
That's a whole different arena.
This is about lifestyle.
And we keep it separate, yes. And I think, that's much more comfortable for the lifestylers.
It is.
And it's a big, it's wonderful because the pro-doms have lots of skills and lots of experience, and we all come to the club to share everything with each other. So that turns it into a huge asset. And it's a wonderful social outlet for us pro-doms as well.
It is.
Because where else are we going to go among people who are not in our profession that are going to understand us and accept us, and we can have such close friendships with them?
Exactly. One of the things that my branch does in regards to that aspect is for any event we have, whether it's a tea, which we have a tea coming up.
I love it.
We're going to have one of our first teas, or a party or a class, because we also do classes, is everything has a disclaimer at the bottom that this isn't a lifestyle function. This is not a professional function, and you will check that at the door. If I find you soliciting for services, you're out of there. If I find you bringing clients, if they're a client and you're coming as a social, that's fine. If I find this is a paid session, you're not coming back.
Yes.
No? And I've been a pro for 20 years. So you know that, there's a very fine line. My Club FEM group is a lifestyle group, and if I find any gentleman who's asking, well, if I give you $20, will you, not going to happen. He's not coming back either.
Yeah.
No.
That would be very out of place. I can't even imagine it happening.
So I had it happen once.
Really?
I had it happen. One guy wanted to do foot worship on one of my lady friends, and he said, "Well, if I tribute you $50," and I'm like, "You're leaving."
No. In Club FEM, slaves don't have money. We sell them for money.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes, we sell them, and so it's a very distinct line.
Yeah.
So thank you for continuing that, because I was going to bring you back to that area. We do have a tea to go to in about 10 minutes, ladies.
Yes, we do.
Awesome.
And so let's wrap it up with some fun questions. I've got to know both of you. Well, I know you, but I've got to know you, and it's been wonderful, and you as well. Thank you for interpreting.
Thank you.
That's very sexy, by the way. I was going to listen to her talk for a couple hours. So let's have some fun questions in regards to our individual styles. Yeah. What would, Miss Ella, I know you very well, so it's a question I already know the answer to, but what would you say is your top fetish activity to do?
See, you might be surprised.
I might be surprised. Surprise me.
I don't really have a single top fetish activity. I know things that I'm known for.
Yeah, well, I agree.
But that's usually the things that the male subs just love the most.
Right.
I mean, what gets
them
where
where
they
you.
live. For me, it's all
and it's got to only be one.
Okay, I'm corporal. I admit it.
I was going to say, go on.
I admit it. I'm corporal. Okay, I do love to cane.
You didn't surprise me.
I love to dance with the bullwhip.
And you're very good at it.
It is a dance to me. I love it. Yeah.
See, it didn't surprise me.
I'm corporal, but I'll strap it on. I'm just like you, Miss Simone. I think I'm pretty mercurial by nature, and I love corporal, but if I did it day in and day out, I'd get bored to tears.
Drive me nuts.
So I do like a variety, and I do like something new. I mean, lately I've been playing with castration scenes.
Ooh,
which
we
is
may
something
have to talk about that. I've never done
It's
that.
awesome.
That's always been a hard limit for me. Like
I'm doing it with farm animal equipment.
The horse,
Texas, right?
Yeah.
Gee,
and
easy there.
Of course, okay. I want to say this officially. I would never remove a male's testicles.
No.
I mean, for real, okay? But it's a scene.
Unless you really pissed her off.
There you go. No, it's a scene, all right? And it was just a challenge to figure out how to pull it off, It was something that was kind of in the back of my head. And I kept turning down those,
Me too.
those requests.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the right boy came along and just something clicked, and he was kind of working with me on it. And I'm like, okay. And
we're going to have to talk about that later.
I was high as a kite, doing this scene. And I'll tll you all about it.
Tell me all about it.
Absolutely.
So, Mistress Natasha,
So,
One fetish
Yeah.
or one activity that really gets your blood flowing.
I don't have any, especially. Will be, I don't know, maybe
I know what it is.
strollers.
She loves to train service boys.
Oh.
She's thinking activities. She
Right.
loves to be served and to train for that.
Yeah.
That's an activity.
That's an activity.
That's
Yeah.
part of our
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
The
She's
service
thinking,
aspect.
yeah,
She's thinking
yeah.
actual.
It's not a lot about
hands. It's
rope
not
and
all about
chains
that.
and whips. It
No.
really isn't.
So,
And to the
Yeah.
lifestyle women, it's less so about chains and
Yeah.
whips.
yes.
Yeah.
So, do you have currently a stable? Do you have some boys?
Yeah, I have two.
Lovely ones.
Are they here with you or?
Uno es esclavo que ya tiene conmigo 2 años y medio,
Ujú.
que está aquí en Los Ángeles viviendo, y otro que está conmigo también en la Ciudad de México. Ese es sumiso al entrenamiento.
Natasha has a slave that's been her slave for 2 years now, and he's located here in LA. And then she has another slave that's still a slave in training in Mexico City.
No, honey, they're always in training. That never stops. Never stops. Drexine, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes,
Because you've been so wonderful interpreting.
thank you. For me, I'm still evolving in my Femme Domme journey, but I know what appeals to me the most is anything psychological. I love getting in the submissive's head and feeding off the energy, and I find fetish is a great way to bring that energy up and feed on it, especially with newer people. I love corrupting new curious subs, and foot fetish is such a great gateway for that. And I do really love a sincere, foot worship session where I can tell the sub is just absolutely in heaven with my feet on his face or whatnot. But the psychology, definitely. Tickling is another thing I greatly enjoy.
I love tickling.
Yes, for me, it's all about that reaction. Anything that gets that reaction is what motivates me.
I think any mistress who lasts a long time in this lifestyle, it's about the reaction and the connection. And
Power
getting
exchange.
into
Yeah.
power exchange.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm going to wrap it up with one more question for each of you. Miss Ella,
Yes.
beginning doms that want to get involved with Club FEM, how do they contact Club FEM, and what would you suggest?
Well, what we do, first they contact us by sending us an email with a brief introduction and letting us know where they are. So if it's a local, because sometimes they're not sure where to send it, and they'll click on something and it goes to Florida when they live in St. Louis. So the first thing to do is say where you're from, and then we'll direct you or we'll answer if you're local. And what you do is you meet with us at what we call a newcomer's welcome munch. And how I conduct my munch, because we're all different, I meet with the newcomers for 1 hour, and I have an orientation of what to expect when you walk into your first Club FEM event, what you need to wear, what the dress code is, what the protocols are, and the basic layout of the party. For an hour and a half, it's social time, and even the boys are kind of in business casual. We call protocol between 9 and 9:30. The boys change into submissive fetish. Traditionally, all boys in Club FEM are wearing a collar, and how to negotiate getting into an interaction with a boy, how to not step on a mistress's toes and recognize that he's a boy who's available to interact because he is wearing a collar. So they put a pink ribbon on their collar, and we know that we can talk to them without needing to know who his mistress is.
Correct.
Anyway, all of these things, we tell them everything about what to expect, what's going to go on. We meet them in a restaurant. We we have a separate area where we can talk freely, and people can feel comfortable that there's nobody around in the vanilla world listening to this conversation. However, we're dressed casual, and because you don't want to just first experience, they're right in the middle of a scening kind of an environment. It's very comfortable. They can, it's a two-way street. They're interviewing us, we're interviewing them.
Correct.
Generally, by the time somebody is willing to come and meet you personally, they're pretty sincere. Very rarely do we find somebody who, from that face-to-face interview, really isn't going to fit in. But so that's it. I give them an hour orientation, answer all their questions, and then the local members show up at 7 because I start them at 6. And if they want to kind of stick around and meet some of the members and see what everyone's like, and they usually do, they can, and the members arrive and they're very friendly. And so...
which I find with most branches of Club FEM.
Yeah.
Everybody's open and friendly.
Yeah, that's what people kind of are surprised about, even when they come to their first party.
Right. We're not the mega bitches.
Yeah. No, we're not dominazis. We're not trying to tell people how to live their lives. We're out to have a good time. However, we do hold up our protocols.
Our protocols are very important.
And there's a lot of camaraderie among the boys, you know. I mean, we all know they're comparing notes about us out there.
Of course.
They're advising the new boys about us.
Yeah. This one likes this.
They're in a huddle
saying, this one's nice.
Look out for that
Look out
one.
for that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is wonderful. If you're into rope, these are the ones to watch for, you know, stuff like
Right.
that. And so there is a lot of camaraderie, a lot of support. And the mistresses, you know, I want to know how to tie my husband up. Can you show me? Yeah.
Of course.
You know, let's go over there. So that's kind of what it's all about, and that's how you get in.
Can you give me the contact information for Club FEM, the website?
Yes. www.clubfem.com. We have a U.S. and international chapters page, and all of the legitimate chapters are listed on that page, and the contact information to the headmistresses or their secretaries is also on that page.
Yeah.
I think I need to get me a secretary.
Let me tell you.
I think I need to get a
I
secretary.
know you're in a hurry, but this is really funny. I do have...
I just don't want us to be late for our tea.
Yes, I do have a boy secretary who answers the emails, so you don't want to send him a big long list of your fetishes and fantasies. It's just-
Mistress, I want to serve you and bow down before you.
Yeah.
He's sitting there going, oh, Lord.
he gets to see what our world is like.
It
you
gets a
know.
little
He's
taste
like,
of
oh
it.
my God.
If someone wants to serve you personally, how do they contact you?
Oh, personally?
Yes. Like the wonderful Mistress Ella. What's your personal website?
Oh, www.lickmyboot.com. One at a time.
One at a time. Mistress Natasha.
Yeah.
If someone is interested in you or your branch, what is the contact information?
Okay. The Mexico City branch is www.clubfemmexico.com, and for contacting me is www.mistressnatashamuller.com.
MULLER.
All one word.
Exactly.
All one word, no dashes.
No.
Okay, all right. And Droxy, if someone wants to see you.
Well, I'm getting my website up, but I'm available on FetLife. However, my best preference is to do things in real time. I like to
Mine
meet
too.
people. I like to meet people in real time first, test out chemistry, and I usually use the internet just for maintaining relationships and corresponding.
I can understand that completely. So, well, thank you, ladies, for taking some
Thank you
time out
so
of your busy
much.
DomCon weekend with me.
Yeah.
And we can now join to our lovely tea and relax for the rest of the
Yeah.
afternoon. So, thank you very much, listeners, for joining in on this very unique chat that we had with the international headmistress Ella Strickland and our new Mexico City headmistress. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Lovely to meet you.
Droxy, thank you for interpreting.
Oh, you're very
So,
welcome.
any last words, lady? Otherwise, I think it's time for tea.
Oh, thank you. That's all I will say is
Let's go.
thank you, Headmistress Simone, and I enjoyed this very much.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. So, okay, ladies, tea time.
Let's go.
Let's go.